Yes, hello everyone. Thank you for being here today. And I'm just looking, I am going to share the presentation if I have permission to share, and I do. So we do. And then this is just a topic on just reducing financial stress, anxiety, and worry. Don't worry, it's not going to be like a 401k meeting or listening to how investments are doing. That's just not how I roll. So that's not how we're rolling today. And this short synopsis of what I do is, like I said in the beginning, I help couples that can talk about anything except money, have less stress in their relationship with more money in the bank. And what I'm doing today is just giving you some examples that if you haven't felt them in real life, I can promise you someone that you know has felt them. And so this will just give you a little taste of what I do, plus allow you to think, oh, how does this impact me or those around me? And maybe you can help them the next time they're in that situation. So after working my way out of debt twice, I understand all the anxiety, stress, and fear that comes from feeling out of control with my money. I remember the sleepless nights. I remember getting up at 2 a.m. to use the bathroom and not going back to sleep because I was stressing about money the rest of the night. I get it. So a few things are on our agenda today. So I just have some stories, some steps, a couple more stories, and then a question I get from a lot of people is, how do I pass some of this information on to my kids? So I'm going to leave you with a very tangible example of what my husband and I did to help start teaching our kids about money and how it's been serving them as they've grown up. So on to the car repair story. So this scenario is very common, is you have to go get your car repaired. We've all been there. And then this single mom and I were chatting, and she was in tears because she added $100 to the repair bill. Now, if you're like me at the car repair shop, the last thing I want to do is add money to a car repair bill. So I had to ask her why, because I just had to know. And then she shared that she needed the finance to repair. And in order to get the financing, she had to spend the extra $100 on a maintenance that really could have waited. And so when she was looking at the situation, since she didn't have the money, she just thought the repair was her only option, and she went ahead with that. And that is very similar to what a lot of people I talk to run into, is they assume that if they have an option, it's only one and it's not good. And I'm here to tell you that is not true. There's always options. And it's just also a reminder of others have a plan that's usually for their benefit and not yours when the unexpected happens to you. And would you like to change that? And if that answer is yes, this rest of the presentation's for you. If your answer is no, I'm sorry, you're going to be in for a long 10 to 15 minutes. So some recommended first steps when it comes to looking at your finances is, the first round sounds very basic. And as business owners, it can be really hard, is to know what you make, either before tax basis, after tax basis, and then all your income sources. If you're a W-2 employee, this one's pretty easy. You can just, after tax, you just take what goes in your bank account and multiply it by the number of times you get paid, and you have that. So the other thing that's tough is knowing your expenses, what you pay for basics and what you spend for things that you want. Once again, it sounds very basic, and I can tell you with every client I've worked with, when we've done our initial budget, there is always stuff coming up that they didn't tell me about, because it's like, oh yeah, I do that, but you get the drift. And I'm guilty from time to time too. So regardless of what we make, there's always opportunities to improve how we manage our money. And so thinking back to the car repair story, how much do you think that that initial car repair cost? You got that number in your head? Her car repair was $250, but the financing minimum was $350. And considering the majority of Americans right now don't have $400 saved for an emergency, how much would $400 have changed all of this? She wouldn't have needed to do the financing, so she would have saved $100. She wouldn't be thinking about repair when she makes the financing payment every month on top of her other payments. She wouldn't get into her car and pray that nothing else breaks down the next time it comes. Her mental headspace would be so much different if she had that $400 saved. And even though $400 does not sound like a lot, and it's definitely not, it could have made a world of difference. And then this is a story of the first client I had is she came in making very low income. And most time at the low income, you have some anxiety, stress, and fears about money. And then when she also came in, she did not have a plan. She had no idea where her money went, did not know her expenses. And on top of all this stress, she had some major life changes happening where she had no idea how it was going to go. So it was just stress compounded. And after working with me, we got $1,000 saved for emergencies, consistently paying off debt. We're planning ahead for upcoming large expenses, and we have removed the financial stress through the other stressful situations she has going on in her life. Because let's be real, life is stressful enough. We don't need financial stress on top of it. So a little bit about me and my story is the first time I paid off my debt was April 2007, and my goal was to marry my husband debt-free. When I got married to him, I inherited his student loan debt, so it became our student loan debt. And then we had to go, he went through the process first time, I had to go through it again. And then we paid off all of our debt in April 2018. So why was it 11 years for me between the payoffs? Because our first couple years of marriage, we focused on aggressively paying down the student loan debt. We got down to our last 2 loans, and then our wonderful son was born, our first child. We were so excited to be parents. And that's when we also fell off the track financially too. So we had my first child in October 2009. We added the second child March of 2014. And then it wasn't until December 2017 that we got mad enough to eliminate all the debt. And when we made that decision, we eliminated our debt in 107 days without any additional income. And that was the point we decided we were never going to go back. Little did we know at the time, the next 26 months, we would face just everything going on in life. Major unexpected expenses, I nearly died, and we fully funded our emergency fund. And how much did this cost? Almost $63,000. All of it cash flowed with the exception of one bill, 1 day late. And when I called to tell them I'd be paying it 1 day late, they laughed at me and asked why I bothered to call. At the time, my spouse was working hourly at Walmart. I was working in higher ed, both known as lower paying fields, and we were still able to do this. So if you're watching this and you're like, well, there's no way that this is possible for me, or I make a really great income and I don't know where it goes. I know it's possible for you because my husband and I have done it. And we also did it on a lot less than the average household income in America. And so basically, when you trust God, you have a plan, miracles can happen. So most parents I talk to love that they want to get their house in order. And I've heard from more than one of them, they feel like the only money skill they can teach their child is how to make change for $1. And it also wants to say that it does not take a lot of money for you to teach your children about money. So my kids are now almost 14 and 9, but when they were between the ages of 3 and 7, I would take them to the mall once a month and give them 75 cents to spend. And 75 cents represented one of the little coin operated rides at the mall or 3 handfuls of candy from the quarter machine. So what did their little brains learn that they probably could not put words to at the time? Once they spent the money, it was gone. Times in life require hard choices. And if you've ever been around a 3 to 7-year-old, making a choice between a coin operated ride and candy is a very hard choice to them. And we let them know, like, if they weren't happy with what they chose, they can make a different choice in the future. Now, some months when I went, this went really well. They were happy with their choices. Other months I took them, they would be competing to see who could throw the largest tantrum and have everybody stare at me in the mall. Regardless, I never relented because I remember that their long-term decisions in the future were more important than what I was facing today. As they've gotten older, they get commissioned for their household chores. So if they do them, they get paid. If they don't, they don't. And we just want to teach them that working hard and working just gets them paid. And then we just have our reasons behind it all. So when they get the commission, they get to split it between 3 categories: save, spend, and give. And they make choices under the supervision of my husband and me. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to let a 7-year-old go buy something for $100 without running it by me. There are, rules and limits we have in place. But when they make the choices under us, we did let them make choices that we knew they would regret. So if we knew they were going to spend $20 on something that wouldn't last very long, we would let them spend the $20 knowing the outcome and knowing that they would be sad or upset that they made that choice. And that's okay. Because as an adult, sometimes we're sad and upset with our money choices too. And then the pain, as hard as it is to watch your kid go through it now, I would much rather have them experience it now, because I talk to a lot of adults that never learned how to manage money as children, and they're making mistakes that are $75,000 or higher. Or I've had clients that have made seven-figure financial mistakes that they wish they could redo. Would I rather have my child screaming about 75 cents and feeling that pain, or do I want to wait till they're older and have them feel the same level of pain with $75,000? To me, it's a no-brainer. Bring on the 75 cents. That is the best ROI that you can have as a parent. So, how would it feel to not stress over your next car repair? Know when your money's coming in. Know the job it's doing. Have one less stress in the event that someone passes away unexpectedly. Maybe you're needing urgent medical care. And teaching your kids the money skills that you didn't have, knowing that they can experience life differently than you did from a financial perspective. That, in short, is what I had for your group today, Gabriel.